Hello, and we are live on the third part of a prologue series that I am running from Two Guys T and D&D. It's a Middle Earth campaign, which is a Cubicle 7 hack for D&D 5e, but it's set in Middle Earth. So like I was saying, this is a third part of a three-part kind of a prologue introducing the characters in the campaign. It's like an idea that I had actually based on one of the players that said something to me, and I was like, hey, that's a really cool idea. I think we're going to do it. So today I have our last two players. We have Warry, and I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but in talking with the player, I guess we're going to butcher his name all over the place. He said even he does that. And we have, oh, geez, what's the other guy's name? It's so hard. Badu. Yes, Badu. Thank you, Kyle. Yes, so without any further ado, we're going to jump right in and start playing. So, Warry, you and the other two dwarfs with you have been traveling for several weeks, having left the Grey Mountains where you wintered, visiting with some of your kin with the Grey Mountains. You've been traveling south along the river Anduin and plan to head across the high pass over the Misty Mountains on your journey to the Blue Mountains, where there are other dwarven clans. You're all mounted on ponies. Krim is leading two other mounts that are laden with your supplies. You're several days into the journey across the high pass of the Misty Mountains. The day started off well enough, early spring, a light shower, which has slowly turned into a much heavier rainfall mixed with snow. The traveling is miserable. You can barely see 10, 20 feet ahead of you. You only know your companions are there because you hear the straining of their ponies behind you. Every once in a while, there's a skitter of a stone, a slip of a hoof. What is it you guys would like to do? You've looked for shelter, but you haven't seen any.
Warry would probably be grumbling the entire time, anxious for any kind of shelter. He thought it would be interesting to be on the surface a lot, but it's getting annoying. And so he would look for anything, any amount of shelter at all, even if it was a low overhang, to just hide there for a few minutes and get out of the rain and the weather and just relax.
Behind you, you hear a grumble from Dewan. Warry, if I have to travel much longer in this damnable rain, I'll be in more foul spirits than I already am.
Oh, shut up, would you? We're both grumbling, have been grumbling for a while. Just keep going until we find shelter. Or why don't you just build one? Do something. Quit your grumbling.
You hear Krim's voice further behind rise up. He says, hey, at least the two of you aren't having to tag these ponies behind you. They keep slipping. One of them's about to pull me off of my saddle.
That's what you get for drawing the short straw. Next time, do better.
You hear him grumble, maybe saying a curse or two. It's lost in the deluge of rain. But you have to find something soon. If not, something bad will happen. You've avoided it up until now, but it's getting darker, and but the prospect of shelter is slim. There's no overhangs, no outcropping of rocks that you can see. Give me a survival roll, though.
How about a 10?
Yeah. So you're looking. You're at the front of this train. So you're scanning the path ahead of you. Uh, maybe cursing your luck. This heavy mixture of rain and snow that is falling is doing a lot to hamper even your dwarven eyes. You start to give into desperation as there's less and less. And then further ahead, you see a large kind of grouping of stone and snow in the pass ahead. That looks promising, you think, as you kind of steer your pony. Mayhaps it'll be enough to at least get you out of the better part of this downfall of rain.
Krim, hurry up. There's something ahead. You'll like it, and maybe we could draw straws again if it happens to be a camp.
Yeah. As you draw up closer, your heart sinks, Warry. It is not an outcropping of rock, but it looks like a slide of snow and stone had given way and fallen and is partially covering the path ahead. As you draw up closer, you see that that's not the only thing that is there. You see, first thing you catch is the color of cloth. As you come in closer, you see a limb, a human limb. Then you see the haunch of a horse. As you get even closer to this mound of snow and stone, you see there are actually multiple horses and humans seem to have been trapped in some sort of landslide.
Whoa, it's one, Krim. Hold up. This doesn't look good.
Oi, what's up there? Why are you stopping?
Looks to be a landslide. A whole bunch of bodies involved. I don't know if we're going to be able to clear the path or not.
You hear the squelch of mud as the one jumps down off his pony. He tosses the reins back to Krim and he walks up alongside yours, looking up at you, using his hand to shield his eyes from the falling rain. It looks like the path is clear enough around it.
All right. Let's move a little closer. Can we try to, as we move closer, can we try to see how long maybe it's been these guys have been there?
Yeah, sure. How do you think that you'd want to do it? How would Warry do that?
I would just it would be a cursory glance at first, as we're approaching and getting closer, just to see, how stiff or cold or ice ridden some of the bodies are. If the snow has then melted and refreezed around them, stuff like that. But yeah, him and Dwan would just get as close as possible without and making sure that there was be no other avalanches or landslides as they creep up, especially watching above.
Yeah. So give me a let me see. I'm thinking probably a survival roll would fit, or a nature if you want to look at it. What's the likelihood of another landslide? You're thinking the rains probably softened the snow, which caused this landslide. You know that it's been raining for several hours, so give me a roll. Let's see what we got. Wow, 20. Wow. Yeah. You're fairly certain that at least this section of the pass is safe. As you look up, there's no overhanging snow or rock. And as you get closer to some of these exposed humans, you feel them and they feel ice cold. It's probably been a few hours at least since they were trapped in this thing. They all appear to be dead.
Oh, that does not look good. Well, nothing we can do for them here. Let's try to skirt the ponies around them and just get on with it. We can't use this as a shelter, unfortunately.
Yeah. So you start to move around this slide, and you hear the click click of Krim as he brings up Duan's pony and leads the others. The ponies kind of scurry away from this slide, probably smelling the death of the horses and the men. Um, and Duan mounts back up and starts to follow you again. Uh, so as you guys are moving your way around this, give me a perception roll.
Sorry, I was muted. Go figure. That would be an 11. Passive is 16, though.
Passive is 16, so that's what it is. As you're riding along, you're not certain, Warry, but you think out of the corner of the eye, you're almost certain that you saw a man's hand twitch.
That's odd. Warry would just stand there again for an extra thing, like just like put his hand up to Krim and Duan behind him and just stare at the hand to see if it does it again.
You watch for it's like the seconds drag on, and that you're just about to move your pony forward, thinking it was just a trick of the light and your eyes, and you see the hand flick again.
Oh, but someone's alive in there, or barely. Duan, Krim, come on, park the ponies. Let's give us a hand. Let's see what's under here.
Yeah. You guys set yourself to work. Krim starts hobbling the ponies, and you and Duan get to work rolling rock and snow out of the way. You uncover a man. He's beaten and bloodied, bruised around his face. But I will let Kyle describe the rest of what you would see.
So it turns into a bit of an excavation as they start to, pull back the rock and snow, and just the latter half of his forearm was sticking out. So as they're digging, moving the just heaps of rock and snow away, they keep going further and further and further, and it seems to take forever until they're able to finally unveil his head. And it's a large man. His beard soaked in blood, bleeding profusely from his forehead. As they uncover his face, they see he's out cold. It takes them a while longer until they're able to uncover enough of his body to try and pull him out, and it takes all three of them at that to do so. He's a massive bear of a man, and when they finally get him out, he's at least all three of them stacked on top of each other high, seemingly so at least. And he's covered in marks and bruises. The only thing that he's still holding on to is in his hand, his right hand. He's gripping an axe, and he's gripping it fiercely. Despite being out cold, his grip does not loosen. If they were to try and loosen it from his hands, it would be very difficult. His knuckles still white around it. He's got ice forming along his beard and his hair, all down his corselet of mail. It's covered in snow, just packed in underneath his armor, and he lays there on the brink of death.
Yeah, give me a medicine check, Warry.
Nat 1.
Oh shoot! Yeah, you're not sure that this man is going to make it. You kind of move your hands along his long, thick limbs and looking for breaks, and you don't feel any. Kyle, give me a D4 roll. but he definitely looks alive, at least at this time. But like was described, he's a large man, and it took the three of you quite a bit of effort to drag him from what was going to be his tomb. What would you guys like to do?
If he looks alive a little bit, I guess we'll try to excavate him in his entirety. And I think Warry would be a little, I guess, taken back. Warry was probably not used to seeing many of the creatures outside of the mountains and the dwarves. So he've only heard rumors of these humongous men that, tower 3 dwarves tall. So he'd be kind of interested to see how, like, maybe even dig a little bit what the other guys are to see if they are the same or humans or whatnot.
Yeah, so you spend some time, but you find that the more you dig at this hill of rock and stone, of snow and stone, the more unsteady it gets. A couple of times things start to roll down. You don't find any others that appear to be alive. This one seems to have been lucky enough to have been pushed to the outer edge of this slide, probably leading the group. And only getting caught by some of it. But you notice that he has this hold upon this axe. And even in his state of near death and unconsciousness, you're still not able to like tug it free. His one hand is just holding it so tight. The rain is coming down. It's washed some of this blood from his face. What would you like to do?
I guess seeing as the place is still slightly unstable, it's still raining. Is there any outcroppings or anything nearby or anything that we can use to make a shelter, just to maybe create a fire?
Yeah, give me a survival check, though. We'll see how lucky you are. Yeah. You kind of squint your eyes and look ahead, using your hand to shield them, and you look, and yes, there's a like a jut of rock that sticks out over the pass. It won't give you full cover, but it seems to like it'll afford you cover on the roof and one of the sides. So you make your way over there, maybe dragging this man along. I'd be interested. So how do you get him over there?
It would be one of those things. If I think not knowing anything about these guys, I would probably try to put him on one of the ponies. And if the pony did not like it at all or it was too heavy, I guess we'd unfortunately just lasso some rope to like his legs, and maybe put down some cloth or a bedroll for him and just drag him along the ground as best as possible.
Yeah. So that's actually a really good idea. So you roll him onto this bedroll and you use that to kind of drag him along like a sled. And so you bring him up underneath this overhang of rock, and it feels good. It's like that moment of relief when you step out, and even though there's still some spatters of rain and whatnot and snow that come in, you're sheltered from the better part of it. In a short order, Krim gets a small fire going, tossing some kindling on. He kind of frowns when he looks at the pony that carries those supplies on there, and he says, "We're running low on wood. It's a good thing we'll be out of these damned mountains soon."
Not soon enough. If this rain keeps up, it's all going to be soaked and for naught.
Though you've probably kept fires to a minimum while you've traveled through here, having heard the tales of the goblins that are said to inhabit the Misty Mountains. Your own peoples not having much luck themselves in making a holdfast in the mountains. So you start this fire and maybe have a meal, and an hour or so after, you hear the man stir. There's a grunt. There's maybe a rising of his chest as he takes in a deep breath.
Ah, Krim, he's alive. See if you can get this guy to sit up.
Yeah, your two companions grab him from either side, and it takes some exertion on their part, but they're able to kind of angle him up so he's in an inclined seated position.
All right, then I would assume even seated at his inclined position, he's almost like head height to me. Maybe staring at my chest. And I'd kind of kneel down just to be face to face with him, and I'd give him a couple slaps on the face, see if I can get him to wake up.
That does it, right, Lionel?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he kind of slowly opens his eyes, and he looks. I mean, if you look into his eyes at all, they're kind of moving around warily as he's waking up, and obviously just after the trauma that he experienced, very slowly so. And as he wakes up and he sees you kind of in his face, he takes some deep breaths and he goes to try and sit himself up further, still gripping his axe. And eventually, after a while of a little bit of effort, he's able to sit up all the way and kind of looking around with his, blinking his eyes a lot, trying to figure out, what's going on, what happened to him. And he doesn't say anything for a little while, but he just keeps looking like back and forth, and he's looking at all of the dwarves, kind of figuring out exactly what's going on where he is.
Yeah, you see this rather rough-looking dwarf, gray beard, gray hair, thinning at the top. He's got a scar on his right cheek. He says, "Easy, lad. We plucked you from the snow."
He kind of gives a couple heaves of breath. Where am I?
Well, you're on a mountain pass. Do you remember how you got here?
No, I don't. I don't remember much.
Oh, well, this is great. He kind of gets like close to you, probably within like 6 inches of your face, and it's just like checking your eyes to see if you're there. Are you one of those giant men?
And after realizing, it takes him a second to realize how close he just got. He takes his left hand and he'll grab him by the shoulders and push him rather, all the way to the extent of his arm length while still gripping. He says, "Careful now, dwarf."
Just checking. You don't seem to be in any kind of shape to remember where you are and what you're doing.
And
let's start off slow. Are you one of those giant men?
He lets go and kind of puts his hand to his forehead, rubbing where there's a visible scar still from where he was probably smashed together from some rocks. And he is just looks pained. He closes his eyes and he kind of winces and I know of no giants.
You hear the sound of a piece of wood being dropped on the fire. A shower of sparks go up into the air. Krim, who's got a pipe tucked into his teeth, he says, "You're the only one. All the rest are dead." Did you tell him that yet, Warry?
I haven't even gotten to his name yet. He doesn't even know what he is.
Krim just kind of grunts.
And he looks back at Krim and then back at Warry, and he says, "The rest of who?"
And Warry would just silently point back up the pass up down the up into the Misty Mountains a little more, and just be like, "The pass that you were all in, the Misty Mountains. You don't remember anything. What is your name, boy?"
And he sits himself all the way upright now, and he kind of sets his axe down next to him, and he's using it kind of to lean on, and he kind of looks down and shakes his head a little bit, kind of brushes away some of the ice and snow from his beard. He says, "I don't know any Misty Mountains. My name's Badu. That's about all I've got."
Warry would turn to Dwan and Krim and just kind of shrug, like give him that this is gonna take a while kind of shrug.
Yeah, Dwan shrugs back, and Krim goes, "Well, you hungry, boy? We have some food."
At this point, he looks up and his eyes kind of brighten. He says, "Could eat."
Yeah, and the he looks like a younger dwarf. His beard is yellow, streaked with brown. Full head of hair tucked up under a cap. He walks up smiling, this pipe kind of clenched in his teeth, and he hands you a skin of Waterdale and some jerky and a dry piece of bread.
And Badu takes the watered ale, and he kind of he sniffs it a bit. He kind of gets, okay, it's good, and just downs it. And he just starts kind of voraciously eating. He might have been under the snow there for a while, and he just starts dripping at the jerky, and he'd chew it for a second, and then he'll take another drink, and just kind of grunting and heaving as he goes.
Krim pokes you in your side, Warry, and he says, "Looks like he's got your table manners." And he laughs.
That's exactly why he was laughing right as he got poked. He's like, he's one of my eaters. All right, good. And then I secretly kind of just half whisper, covering the side to Badu so he can't hear, and I'd be like, "You didn't give him the good stuff, I hope."
Krim just winks at you in that knowing way, knowing dwarven way.
Good. All right, and I'd probably, as he's scarfing his face, I'd probably get a little rumble in my stomach too, and just be like, and then plop myself down near the fire as well, and start eating a little bit of jerky. I'm probably famished.
Yeah. So you unless you guys say anything else, Badu finishes the meal he's given. You're tired from your ordeal. You're confused because you don't know. You don't know what brought you into the high pass. You don't remember these companions that you lost. Surprisingly, you only know your name. But you're probably thanking your good fortunes that these dwarfs came upon you, or you would have met the same fate of these mysterious travelers you were with. As time passes, the rain lets up, creates small little rivers running down the path. It's late in the day. You have to have a decision before you. Do you break this camp that you've made, or do you stay here through the evening and set off again on the morrow?
For Warry, the decision kind of isn't his. It would be more as a group effort and maybe dependent on Badu. He would look to him and just see if he's capable of walking on his own, because they don't have enough supplies or ponies to drag this guy where they're going.
Yeah, he appears, beaten, but he appears to be, this bear of a man looks to be in fairly good health.
Yeah, Badu would probably, after finish, stuffing his face and kind of going over brief introductions, would have gotten up and kind of started loosening his limbs a little bit. He got a bit of a kink in his neck, and he's going to kind of start messing around with his axe, just kind of like wielding it in one hand and kind of tossing it back and forth. He's kind of trying to figure out exactly what he was doing, why he was there, and but he seems limbered up enough to keep going.
All right, so Warry would interrupt him in the middle of all these swings, and Mr. Badu, is it all right if we break camp and head out? I guess you can come with us if you want. I don't. Hopefully, you know where you're going or where your family is, or your home. But we're headed to the Blue Mountains. You could. At least we can get you partway there.
Badu stops and he looks at him and he says, I know not where I was going, but the Blue Mountains sounds nice.
If you eat like that, you'll like it.
That sounds like a place for me then.
All right. And then I would probably hand him some logs or just something and be like, all right, help us pack up.
Yeah, perfect. So you break camp, having decided to continue along, get further through the pass before making camp for the night. So it's rather uneventful. There's not much conversation, even though you had taken this reprieve for a few hours underneath this overpass. Your clothing is still not quite dry. The fire only doing enough to dry it a bit. So it's rather miserable. The only good fortune is that the rain has stopped, and though the air itself is just it just has a cling of cold to it. It's still the early spring, and being high up in the mountains just makes it cooler still. As the sun starts to set off in the distance, you guys are able to find a space where you feel that you could adequately camp. It appears safe. It affords you some shelter from the wind, and if it should start to rain again, it would protect you from that as well. Also, it might protect you from prying eyes if you should decide to start another fire.
Perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what we'll do, because dwarves are okay in the dark. We really only need fire for warmth and cooking, so we can definitely keep it to a minimum.
Yeah, so that's what you do. You warm a meal, which tastes good after the cold, dry food you had been eating along the trail. You make yourself as comfortable as you can and bed down for the night. Now, you guys can let me know anything that you want to do through the night, and otherwise, I will move it forward to the next morning.
Warry himself probably doesn't do much. He's probably one of the ones that would keep watch for a little while, at least just to make sure the camp was set up. They were protected and all that stuff from the elements or goblins or who knows what else out here. And then maybe he'd also watch just to make sure that sorry, that Badu is, with it and still recovering pretty well.
Yeah, and Badu would be rest would be welcome. His first movement in a little while after getting up, and it kind of took a toll on him. So after they finished setting up camp, he would plop down in a corner somewhere and just turn his cloak around and use it as a makeshift blanket almost, and just kind of doze off almost immediately. Through the night, kind of fits of moving around, he'd hold his head for a little while, and he wakes up a couple times, but for the most part, sleeps through the night.
And the night is uneventful beyond that. You wake up the next morning, the sky is clear, the air is still cool, but there is no rain. So there is that. You break your camp, you have a quick breakfast, and you set on your way through the high pass. By your best guess, Warry, you are probably about 3 days out before you will make it through uh, the Misty Mountains. But you're starting to make your way down the high pass now on the western side. So there is that as well. Uh, so for the next couple of days, it's fairly cool. I mean, there's small conversations. Badu seems to be in pretty good physical health, minus his memory. The man just does not seem to remember beyond his name, like who he was, where he lived, what he was doing. Those all seem to be lost to him. Um, and this is something that your companions have been trying to help Krim more than Dawun, uh, asking questions to try to help this man trigger his memory as you guys are riding along. Um, and it's on the third day that you get to the base of the high pass. Um, you look back over your shoulder and you look at these grand mountains that you had crossed, thanking the under mountain for the safe passage, and not having to run into any of the accursed goblin folk that are said to crawl all over this mountainsides. Um, so the path before you now leads you through the lands of the elves. You've heard rumor of Rivendell, and your path would bring you close to this. How would Warry and his companions feel about the elves, potentially having contact with them?
Warry just grows up with the typical stigma that all dwarves have of elves. He's probably never seen one in his life. So he would be a little apprehensive and hope he doesn't get to meet one. And he would probably plan on avoiding the known area of elves as best as possible.
Perfect. Yeah. So you set out, and you're making your way. It's these hills now. Um, they're like rolling hills. They're forested. The forest is light though, small undergrowth of brush, but you're easily able to pick a path with your ponies through this. You use the position of the sun to help guide you along your way. But give me a survival check. And Badu, if that's a skill that you have, that's either something that you could aid Warry and his companions with, if you would like.
I am not trained in survival.
Badu probably wouldn't know anything of the area and either, so he probably wouldn't really be able to help much.
No, that's a good idea. This is foreign lands for him. He hates the woods.
Yeah. So it's you're several hours into your second day, Warry, when it dawns on you, you don't feel that you're on the path that you need to be on. The trail that you had been following, it seems to kind of meander further north than you would expect. And then it ends in this stream. And as you look across the stream bank, there's this light. It looks as if though it could be forded here, but you do not see a trail on the other side.
Ah, great. Why
What
can't...
is it? Don't tell me you got us lost again. We'd already be in the Blue Mountains if not for you.
What? No, that is months of a journey. What the? Oh, you bastard.
The one spits down into the ground. And Krim just kind of looks down at his reins, kind of fiddles with him a little bit, not wanting to make a comment.
And I realize he's probably just screwing with me. But it doesn't care. Warry's a little agitated by now. Why can't the people build roads through forests like they do mountains? It just goes.
It's the damn elves, man. They won't let them build roads.
A path, even. Come on, like.
While this is happening, Badu's like looking. He's probably standing towards near the middle of the group, and he's looking back and forth at all the dwarves. And he says, "Is this not the right path?"
Thank you very much. We've kind of figured that out already.
Oh, I see.
You guys have a choice. What would you like to do? It's only probably just shy of midday. You could take a quick respite and backtrack and try to pick up the trail where you lost it, or you could try pressing on and try to cut through the forest. It's up to you.
Would we know anything of this forest?
You know that it's close to the troll shaws. You would guess based on. I mean, I would imagine you have a map. Maybe that's one of the things you're doing as you're by this riverbank. You're kind of like roll out this map on the ground, and you guys are kind of arguing. No, we should have turned here, and that sort of thing. But really, yeah. So you're near the troll shaws. You would guess, but it would be exact to guess.
I'd also bring, motion Badu to come over now that we have a map, and while we're deciding and bickering amongst ourselves which way to go, I would ask Badu, does any of this look familiar?
And he kind of looks at it for a little while, and he points right to the exit of the high pass that they just came from. I think we were just there.
All right, well, that's good. Where are you from?
And he looks a little bit further. I think you found me right around here. And he points to the middle of the high pass where they found him. Sounds about right.
Warry just kind of shrugs. He's got nothing at the moment. I think Warry would probably decide to convince Dwan and Krim, if they were arguing against it, to double back just to try to find the right road. He doesn't want to just romp through the forest. He's going to get us even more lost, and he knows it.
Perfect. Yeah. So there's probably just a little bit more bickering between the dwarves, but that's just how dwarves are. But you know that they're going to do it. So they take one of the ponies and their own ponies. They leave one back with you, Warry, and they head back. Are you guys planning to make like a little camp here while you're waiting for them? Or were you planning to go with them? Maybe I misunderstood you.
I was, I guess, planning to go with them. We should all just backtrack.
Yeah, okay, that would make sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys backtrack. Give me a 2d6 roll.
7.
Yeah, so you spend the rest of this day, and as the hours go by, tempers become shorter. And then on the 7th hour or thereabouts, you find the path. You see where you had taken this false path, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was a path that led to this stream. and then you find the path that you believe you should have been on. But you will look up to the sky through the canopy of tree, and you see that the sky is darkening. Will you guys want to press further ahead, or do you guys want to make a camp?
The dwarves would be okay traveling a little farther until there's a better camper, until it's almost too safe to travel at night.
Okay. Yeah. So Badu, I guess, being along for the ride, unless he opposes that, you guys continue to press forward, maybe wanting to make up time that you had lost. And so it takes you the better part of 3 hours before you find a place that you think is suitable for camping, or to set up a campsite. And that's where you set it up. There's Krim kind of dismounts and kind of just stretches his legs, rubs his rump, and says, "My dwarf ass was not meant for sitting in a saddle for so long."
No, it's meant for sitting and eating at the dining room table.
And you guys make a camp and prepare to bed down for the night. The sky is clear. The air is cool but comfortable. And you drift off to sleep. Are you guys, it feels fairly safe to you. Do you guys want to have any sort of, I'm assuming you guys would have some sort of watch or something. What would that watch be?
Warry would probably take the most of the watch. That's just what he's good at. So he would take the longest stretch of the watch. You know, something maybe like as soon as camp has started until maybe past midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would probably rouse. I would say Krim, the younger of the two, if I remember right.
Yeah, he's the younger.
And he would probably take the remainder of the watch. If I don't know if they would plan on having Badu take any part of the watch, just knowing that he's not with it fully.
Yeah, I would assume that. Yeah, that, and you probably would kind of sell it in a way that's like you need to rest. You went through this ordeal, get your strength back, kind of a thing. All right, so give me a perception roll, Warry.
16.
16. So during your watch, you hear the sounds of movement in the forest. You investigate it using your keen dwarven eyesight to do so. And it's just small wildlife, nothing of note. And then you wake up Krim for his watch, and you roll out your bedroll and go to sleep. It's sometime in the early morning, before the sun has turned the sky red with the dawn, when you feel yourself shooken awake, Warry. Inches from your face, it's Krim. They're gone, Warry. I don't know how they got away.
What's gone? Who?
The ponies.
Oh, Jesus.
3 of the ponies are gone.
I think he kind of just counts, like, so there's one left.
No, there's 2 left. But that doesn't, we're missing 3 of our ponies. They were right over there. I went to take a wee, and when I came back, they were gone.
He would probably just now be like, you know, coming to consciousness and realizing the gravity of the situation, and then just smack him across the face. Why'd you have to go over there? Just go wee right where the... Oh, and he stands up.
And you know, he rubs at where you slapped him, and his face goes red with embarrassment, not anger. What? How was I to know?
All right, just get everybody up. Let's go find the ponies.
Yeah.
Get Badu up too. I mean, he can help.
There's grumbling from Dewan as he's woken, and he curses at Krim as well, calling him a fool for having lost the ponies. And you look and you see two of the ponies still remain hobbled where there should be five.
All right, I would direct Quan or Krim to go wake up Badu, and I would go investigate the areas where the ponies were to see like what the heck happened. Did their ropes break? Were they startled? Did they run off? Can I even follow tracks? You know, see what the heck's going on.
Right. Badu, Krim shakes you awake as you're checking out the scene. So Warry, what you would see is going to be depending on your investigation roll. And you can have advantage because Dewan is there helping you.
Advantage didn't help, but I'll still take the first roll. You said investigation?
Yeah.
Total of 20, not natural.
Oh, nice. Good. Yeah, between the two of you, you see that it does not look like the horses went away. You see no markings from their hooves at all marking the soil. But what you do see is large footprints. They seem to have walked to your camp close to the horses and then walked away.
How big is large? Talking
large.
Badu size?
That would make Badu's feet look small.
Would we know of these creatures at all?
You can definitely give me a nature check.
Meanwhile, Badu comes over and kind of like just puts his foot next to it. Oi, that's a big foot.
You could check too, Badu. You could do a nature check too.
He would probably laugh at Badu's comment. Even with this, the not direness of the situation, but the seriousness of the situation, Warry would still crack jokes if something was funny.
So about the same time, you have this thought come into your head, Badu, at the same time that Warry says it, and that word is troll.
Aren't we too far from the troll lands? What the hell?
Apparently not.
Dewan says, trolls are everywhere, man.
Well, so much for the elves keeping them at bay. God, what the heck? Thought elves were all magical and powerful and blah, blah. Can't even keep a bunch of trolls from snacking up some ponies.
You get a snicker from Krim, even though he's feeling, though he's the one that is responsible for the loss of the ponies. He still chuckles a bit at your joke. What are we to do, Warry? Do we go after them? Is it even safe?
Have you ever fought a troll before? I haven't.
No.
I would assume all three of them would then turn to Badu.
Yeah, they would all like kind of look at you, Badu. He's big enough to fight the troll.
Badu just kind of shrugs. Maybe.
Well, you know what a troll is, I assume.
Kind of.
A name and a creature. I guess that'll do. Well, let's see if we can find what the heck's going on. Maybe we can follow their tracks for a little bit.
Yeah, it seems fairly easy. This troll, you don't know how intelligent a troll may be, having never seen one before, only just kind of hearing about them through legend. But this one does not seem to, like it's made any attempt at all to try to cover its track. So it's fairly simple for you to follow it. And you follow it for, probably the better part of an hour before you come into this this outcropping of rocks where the trees kind of give way, and you can see this dark mouth of a cave ahead, probably about 20-ish feet, 20 or so feet past the tree line.
I'm gonna look at the cave. I'm just seeing like what the cave is made out of, maybe, and how it's positioned and the makeup of it. Is it lived in? Is it old? Is it new? Is it carved?
Is it borrowed? Is it blue?
Yeah, exactly.
It definitely looks like a naturally occurring cave. The rocks just seem to have just formed this natural this I don't know what to call it, cave. There we go. And as you draw closer, the first thing you notice is the dire stink. It's a stink of rot and filth and offal, and it just assails your nose, Warry. But you could give me a perception check too as you get up in closer. And your two dwarven allies are moving forward too, and they have pretty much a similar reaction, grabbing at their nose.
All right, perception would be my passive, or a 7.
So your passive is a 16?
Correct.
Yeah, you can hear sounds coming from deeper within this cave. You can hear the kind of it's just the sound of like a crunching of like bone, and a sick kind of like a chewing.
I think all of the dwarves who can hear that would instantly just think of the same thing, like, they've got Billy.
Yeah, they got Bill.
What?
You killed Kenny. You bastard.
Poor Bill didn't make it. And what are you guys gonna do? Badu, you kind of just come up over these guys standing behind them, towering.
Yeah, and he kind of catches a whiff too, and he says, "Oh, it smells worse than you lot."
Oh, jeez, nice. That's how you make friends, man.
We'd smile and laugh. Thanks.
Duan kind of sniffs at his arm. I think I smell pretty damn good.
Well, we haven't showered in what, 4 weeks?
Speak for yourself. I got my shower in the rain.
That doesn't count, Krim.
He's like, ugh. And another thing that you would hear too is you would hear like a nicker and like a nervous nicker of a pony.
We're going in then.
Oh, well.
Badu kind of like lifts his axe.
He wasn't, Warry wasn't expecting the whole gung ho charge thing of the of that Badu just kind of displayed for him, and he's kind of taken back, like, oh, I was gonna do the okay. Let's
Well, you want your pony back, right?
I think you would want it back too. I think he's the one that has all the food.
Yeah.
We're going in then. At that, he kind of like starts making his way over there, determined now.
So we will take a break as you guys start making your way into the mouth of this cavern, and we'll take a little break, 5-10 minutes, and we'll come back.
This is how 3 dwarves die.
And a man, a big man.
Yeah, he'll live. He'll be fine.
Yeah, that's his plan. He's gonna throw you guys to the troll as he saves the
got
horses.
long legs. He can move.
No, actually, halfway down the cavern, the tunnel, he'll be like, "Wait a second, I don't even ride these ponies."
Yeah.
All right, so we'll take a quick break and then we'll be back.
All right, be back in a few minutes.
All right. All right.
All right, I think we're all back. So we left off. You guys were Badu was starting to make his way down this through this cave mouth down this tunnel where you guys believe a troll has stolen some of your ponies and probably eating one of them. How would you guys like to do this?
For Warry, very stealthily.
All right, cool. Let's do a group stealth roll. So I didn't mention this earlier, but it's okay to say unless I say something different. It's okay to just say your results in the out loud. You don't have to put them in the chat.
Okay. 13 for me.
All right.
16 for me.
All right, good. And the two dwarfs, other dwarfs, rolled a 10 and a 4. So as you guys are making your way down this tunnel, you feel that you're fairly quiet. The smell, you couldn't think that the smell could get any worse, but it does. At some point, you like literally have to stop and just like kind of like breathe in your hand, and then continue again on your way. As you get closer, it's dark. Can you see in the dark, Badu?
No, Bjorning don't have dark vision.
So for you, it's really hard. You can see like these silhouetted, these outlines of the dwarves these small dwarves that are walking along with you. But you all can hear it. That sickening chewing sound, that crushing of bone, and you can hear the whining and the whimper. I don't know if that whimper. What does a pony do?
A whinny.
Whimper's fine by me.
Whimper's fine. That's what we're gonna do. Whimper of at least one other pony, maybe two. And you come to the end of this tunnel. And it opens up into a large kind of natural cavern. And with your dark vision, the dwarves are able to see this large hulking form of what is a troll. Its skin gray and lumpy. It's kind of bent over, and you see it is kind of gnawing at a bit of the a pony haunch. You see the two other ponies kind of tucked off in the corner of this cavern, and just trying to get as far from this beast as they can. They're not restrained in any way, but they also don't seem to know how to get out of this cavern. What would you guys like to do? It doesn't seem like this thing has noticed you. It's kind of like sideways to you.
So it's just one troll, and how big of a cavern compared to the troll?
The cavern is probably about 15 to 18 feet high at the uppermost. The troll itself looks like it would, and the cavern that you walk down in is probably about 10 or 11 feet. It would probably hunker down as it walked through this. It's probably about 10 to 12 feet tall. You would think when it stood straight up.
Oh, so not much room in here. Great. That's probably what Warry's thinking.
Well, and the size of the cavern is probably about roughly, I mean, it's not a perfect circle, but it's probably 30 or 40 feet. You see carcass and bone strewn all about. You also see like the leavings of whatever other poor traveler or beast that this thing had come across and eaten, just kind of thrown willy-nilly about this cavern across the floor. Badu, you would hear the noise, and you would probably make out just the very slimmest of outlines. Your vision would be fairly limited with just a little bit of light coming down the tunnel.
Yeah, he's struggling to kind of make anything out, and he's gonna hold back and kind of like look around for his dwarven friends here to kind of lead the charge so he knows where he's going. All right.
Nice. And Warry would instantly go into like his childhood days. He's really good at seeing in the dark compared to like most dwarves. So he would probably take the lead and probably stay as far away from the troll's line of sight as possible, sneaking around one edge of the cavern, just to see if he could get maybe to the ponies, or to something that would distract the troll.
Perfect. Yeah. So what you would see the ponies. You would see, like I said, there's all kinds of rare leavings. You see broken casks, broken chests. You see the floor is just littered with bones and bits of cloth. You see the occasional haft of an axe, the shaft of a spear, the pommel or blade of a sword. You see all these things kind of just littered across the floor of this troll's cavern. So you could potentially use any of that you think might be useful. Is there anything in particular that you would be looking for?
Nope, he's just making it up as he like creeps along the wall. Like, all right,
perfect.
Nope, that won't work. That won't work.
Okay, so Dewan starts to follow behind you, creeping behind you, and Krim is just standing with you, Badu. He kind of whispers, "What do you think we ought to do? I've never seen something so big. I thought you were big."
And Badu like looks around, like trying to figure out where he is by the sound of his voice, and then eventually he'll like he leans down and gets kind of in the general area. And he says, "Just wing it."
Wing it. That sounds like a good plan. And so why don't you give me a stealth roll, Warry.
16.
All right. So you're creeping along, and Dewan is creeping behind you. You guys are fairly quiet. As you're making your way slowly to the ponies, all of a sudden one of them, the ponies, turns its head towards you, and its nostrils flare, and it snorts, and it whinnies, and the troll immediately swings its head around. A bit of flesh and bone and blood just kind of dripping and hanging from its maw, and it goes, "I smell you, dwarf."
No, you don't.
It kind of goes when you say that, and it goes, "Yes, I do."
I'm just a talking pony. Could you stop eating my friend?
I see you.
Badu kind of takes the opportunity to try and echolocate.
Yeah. Its left long, muscled but gnarly arm points to behind you, Warry, to Dewan. "I see you, dwarf." And he tosses aside the little bit of pony that was left, and he kind of rises up on his feet. "Been a long time since I've eaten dwarf." And there's like a cracking and popping of his on his back as he kind of rises up to his full height.
Is Badu able to like figure out where he is now? I mean, he's a pretty big fellow, but
yeah. Like I said, so you'll be at disadvantage with any attacks or anything because you can't see unless you want to strike a flame to something to make some light. But you can kind of make out this very rough outline of where this thing is by its sound and just a little bit of the light that's coming in.
So as it kind of starts to stand up, Badu kind of takes the opportunity, and he's going to run over with both hands on his axe and try and come down on this troll. And as he does so, he says, "I told you, you smelled."
All right.
and then just kind
So,
of strike the first blow.
so this is the first thing that I'm gonna have you do. We're not gonna roll initiative yet, but I am gonna
Okay.
have you do an acrobatics roll. Or no,
At
actually,
disadvantage, or-
let's do a dex save at disadvantage.
At disadvantage.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh wow, nice. So that's a 17.
Okay, good. So you're running across and you trip on something, but you're able to catch your balance. You're not sure what it is. You probably don't want to know what it is. But then you right yourself and you bring the axe to bear on where you believe this troll is.
And that's going to be a 16 to hit.
16 will, with disadvantage, will hit.
Yeah, I got them good rolls, man. Sorry, I gotta find my D10. All right, and then that's gonna be a 10 damage.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you find solid purchase into this troll's flesh. It gives to your axe, the blow of your axe, and it bellows in this cavern and just echoes. I need everybody to make a wisdom save, please.
Is that a disadvantage as well, or
No, that it has the lack of light.
it's a 12?
Excuse me.
I didn't think so. That's a 12.
12. Okay.
And an 18 for Warry.
Okay, Warry. I will roll for the other two dwarves. Okay. So anyone that got below a 13, when this thing bellows, it just makes your guts go cold. Your hand starts to shake on the haft of your axe, Badu, as you're frightened by this beast. You hear Dewan behind you, Warry, go, "Oh, no way. I'm out of here." And you hear him get up, and you hear the scattering of bone, and as he turns and starts to run towards the exit, and Krim is yelling to him, "What you doing, boy?" Well, I wouldn't say that. He wouldn't say boy because he's older. He said, "Dewan, what you doing?" And he tries to stop him as he starts to push past him. So you're frightened, so you would turn and you would move away from this troll as quickly as you can, Badu. And we'll roll initiative now.
Oh shit, this is happening.
All right. So Warry, you're gonna go first, and you got a 9 on your initiative.
Yeah, 9. Sorry.
Okay. And your dex is what, an 8? I don't know what's your dex.
14.
Oh, 14. Oh, you just rolled really low. Okay. So then it'll go you, Badu. It'll be the troll, and then it will be then it'll be the other two dwarfs. Dewan and Krim. All right. So Warry, it's your go. You hear this thing bellow. It kind of shakes you to your core, but you're able to steel yourself.
And is Badu like right up in this thing's face?
No, he's actually fall. You would see with your eyesight, you would see him falling back from it. And you would see the axe shaking in this large man's hand. We'd see fear on his face.
Yeah, he's kind of like shuffling backwards. He's, I'm gonna go get the other dwarf. And he kind of like makes his way towards where the one headed out.
Oh man. And of course, Krim or whatever is piecing out behind me.
No, that's not Krim. It's Dewan.
Oh, that's the one. Okay. I think for now I'm just going to stay put, and hold my action until the dwarf. Until the troll goes past me, because I'm pretty sure he didn't see me. At least that's what I'm going to assume.
Okay, you can make that assumption. All right. So, Badu, I need you to make a dex save.
Oh, nat 1.
Oh, geez. Yeah. So you're kind of falling backwards, and you start to turn to run to the dim light of the tunnel behind you, and your foot catches on something, and it sprawls you onto the ground. Give me another dex save, but not at disadvantage on this one.
Dex says 15.
15, yeah. So you're able to you hit the ground, and you get a face full of this foul dirt and whatever else. You spit it out, but you're able to hold onto your axe as you spin around. You could use your movement to get back up to your feet, but that'll end your turn.
Yeah, he would kind of like clamber back up to his feet, and start, still headed towards the exit.
Yeah. You hear the grumble behind you of the troll, and he says, "You big man, that tastes good." And it comes at you. You get up just in time to turn, and you see this big meaty paw of a hand reaching for you to try to crush your head. Probably going to miss with a 9. So you're able to duck as it grabs at your head, and then it's going to try to lunge at you again. 15.
That is my armor class.
Okay. Oh, okay. Because you're not using a shield.
No, I don't have my shield yet.
Okay, good. So it's going to hit you. This could hurt. Now, I'm fairly new to Middle Earth too. Can Slayers rage like barbarians from 5e?
Yeah, it's Battle Furies, but it's rage. Yeah.
Is that something that you wanted to do?
He probably wouldn't have done that if he was frightened. So
okay,
no, that wouldn't make.
So yeah, you're gonna take 10 points of bludgeoning damage. It's this thing. It misses you with one hand, and then as you're like coming back up, it just swats you, and you just hear bells and bright pinpoints of light across your field of vision as this thing kind of just rings your bell. Me go like eat you, and we're gonna move to Dewan. Dewan, you see, pushes past Krim and still holding his axe, but you see him. He starts making his way up the tunnel before he skids to a stop and turns and starts heading his way back down, having shaken off the fear now. And Krim runs forward, seeing that you're in dire straits, to strike at this troll. Oh, wow. Nice roll. 19. So he cuts his axe into it with this battle cry. And the troll kind of, again, bellows as it, but it doesn't have the same effect as before. And that brings us back. Now, Warry, you're seeing all this kind of play out from your little hidey spot. Is there anything that you would want to do, or would you want to move on to the next round?
Well, I guess if the troll didn't move far enough for me to attack him, and he started wailing at somebody else, I'd probably, if I can move, I would get up to him and stab him. Otherwise, I'd chuck a dagger.
Yeah, you could definitely get to him on your turn easily.
Okay. Then yeah, I guess if he's pounding away at Badu, then yeah, I'd be like, oh shit, we're going all in.
Yeah, Badu looks pretty. You look pretty bad off, Badu.
Yeah, the wound on his forehead is opened back up, and he looks dazed. Probably head trauma is probably not the best for him right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I just get up behind him if I could and
Easily.
and attack him.
Yeah.
Would I be able to get sneak attack on this if I hit? Am I behind him or to the side?
You can definitely get sneak attack. He has no idea that you're there.
Okay, sweet.
His focus is on this big meaty morsel in front of him.
Oh, nice. So that would be 15.
15 will hit him.
Oh, yes. Oh. Well, that wasn't good. Total of 6 with the sneak attack.
With sneak attack, 6. Okay. Yeah, you drive the dagger in, but having never faced a troll before, you're surprised at how hard his hide is. You've seen cured leather softer, more supple than this creature's hide, but you still are able to kind of drive it in, like maybe just below its knee into its calf. It kind of reaches down, maybe just realizing for the first time that he says, "There's lots of you, lots of food for dog."
Nope, I'm just a pony.
he cocks his head to the side like, "Ooh." And it is your turn again.
All right, then yeah, I'm going in again with
do it up.
with the dagger.
That's actually a pretty good thing to do. You get two turns right in a row. Boo boo. By doing that.
Oh man. 12.
12. 12 just misses. You kind of you don't miss per se, but your dagger just kind of skids across its hide. And maybe as it's moving, it makes it harder for you to kind of find that soft spot that you found before. Anything else you're gonna do?
So I guess I'm going to swap weapons real quick and get take out my short sword, hoping that maybe a bigger blade will do more.
Yeah, you definitely could do that as part of your interaction. Perfect. I imagine you're kind of trying to jockey too, so that you're not going to get splatted by this big oaf of a creature. Badu, it's your turn. You see Warry come in to try and Krim come in to try to aid you. So there's 3 of you now are surrounding this troll.
And Badu gets, kind of comes to again, and he's, I might be big, but you're bigger. I bet you taste like ass. And he's going to take another swing at him.
Perfect.
Ooh. Oh, how did I roll 2 of the same? That's only an 11 to hit.
Yeah. So again, you swing, but you swing just wide. You're having a hard time seeing in this darkness.
And just kind of clambered.
Careens off of a stone. All right. And it's this creature's turn, so it's not very bright. So we're just going to go around it. We'll go Warry, Badu, Krim. Oh, Krim. So this thing just sees this little dwarf come in, and it's just going to try to kick him away. Oh, with a nat 20. So he kicks poor little you hear this sickening grunt and a splat as Krim crushes and smacks against the wall of the cavern, rolls down the side, and is motionless and then it turns and tries to bite you, Warry. And thankfully, it misses you. As it swings its head around and snaps its jaws just inches from your head. You hear Duan yell, "Krim!" And he yells and he does a battle cry, "Roar!" as he runs in with his axe to try to hit this troll. Oh, he gets a nat 20. Nice. He's pissed. Poor Krim got smacked. This damage is shit, though. So he hits him for 8. But you see that this troll now has these several injuries all over it. It's bleeding, and now it is your turn again, Warry.
Yeah, I would probably do the same thing. Like I would, me and Dwan probably shouted "Cram" at the same time, and I'm just going all in. I'm probably gonna actually jump higher and see if I can get something softer in like in his back or the side. Nice, 24.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Very, very well. So with a sneak attack, that is 13.
Oh, nice. Oh, that one drives in really good. It actually staggers as it's reaching for Badu, but it stops and reaches back to try to grab you as you drive your short sword right up to the hilt and kind of twist it and yank it out. And there's a gout of dark Icarish blood that kind of sprays out across you and down this creature's leg. That was a really nice hit. You said it was 13?
Correct, yeah.
Oh, all right. Which then brings us to Badu.
Badu's a bit disoriented still, kind of trying to shake off the blow from earlier. He's wiping blood from his eyes, and he's just going to kind of try and take a best guess and see if he can't hit this thing again. He really, really wants to hit it. It's another 11.
Yeah.
So he's going to go wide.
No, this time you do hit it, but you hit it like on where its skin its hide is thicker, so it doesn't get into the softer stuff.
He hits it like the end of his swing, and he's not able to really do anything with it.
This thing is bleeding from a lot of places. It says, "Talk hurt," and it bellows loudly again. Blah! So all you all gotta make a DC 13 Wisdom save. The wand stays.
Warry is shaken to the core.
So you would turn and run maybe towards the ponies, to where the ponies are cowered. And Badu, how did you fare?
He did not make it. So Badu, after missing twice now, he just kind of like, when he screams like that, just kind of holds his head. Oh, stop!
So you need to just give me a dex save at disadvantage as you try to run away from this thing.
Yeah. He's going to make his way back towards the exit again. That's a 10 at disadvantage.
Yeah. So you trip and fall. You kind of roll in this pile of bones. You just feel the bones clatter around you. And you feel and smell a musty cloth that kind of runs across your face. But the wand, he stays firm and attacks. Oh, nice. He's a warrior, man. Nice. Yeah, he cuts in deep. The thing bellows again. It's not looking good. It's reaching down to try to swat the wand. Oh, wait, you know something? I got to take that back because the thing didn't attack. Right, so one will hit and one will not. So he swings down at it with his big meaty paw to try to slam the dwarf down, but he sidesteps it, but he doesn't sidestep the guy's bite. You hear Devon scream in pain as it clamps down on his arm that holds its axe. You see blood start to spray out from the poor dwarf's arm. And he pulls back this stump missing from just above the elbow. He's gripping at it, screaming, "Oh!" And Warry, it's his turn, but he's probably not going to do much. Where he just we'll move to your turn, Warry.
All right, so I take a quick cursory glance at Krim as well. He's still motionless against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And now I see my third dwarven brother with a freaking chunk out of his arm. Is there any way to climb this troll and get at his head?
You could, but you're so deathly afraid of this thing, you're still wanting to get away from it.
Gotcha. Yeah, then I would I would have either, I think you said I headed toward the ponies or whatever at is that the entrance to the cavern or
no,
the back?
It's at the back end. Yeah.
Okay, then I would probably just get as far away from him as I can, and then like cower behind some of the refuse and junk that's in there to try to like hide.
You hunker down in between the two ponies, and maybe you guys give each other comfort, and are maybe glad that this thing's attention is maybe not on you. But you see your poor friend pretty mortally wounded as we move to Badu.
Badu keeps tripping and falling over all this stuff on the ground, and as he's going to get back up, he's just, damn this! Oh! And he's going to look back and see Dwan missing an arm, which only really solidifies his desire to escape now. And he's gonna use basically his movement to stand back up and make sure that this thing doesn't grab him from behind and take an arm as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you stagger your way to the opening of the cavern, and your turn would end there. And then it's this thing. It turns its full attention onto the now one-armed Dwan. And he just comes down with a clenched fist onto Dwan's face, and it silences him. And you hear the snap of the dwarf's neck and back as he falls motionless beneath the blow. The thing greedily grabs him up and takes a bites his head off. And Warry, it is your turn. You no longer have that fear. You've just seen your friend killed by this troll.
Both of them. Is there any way past the troll out the entrance?
His attention seems to be on chewing on your friend, on Dwan, but you don't think that you could get the ponies past him. And you also look, and it looks like, it's kind of wobbling on its legs a bit. You've also would probably surmise that this thing's not the brightest creature that you've ever encountered. So it seems to be working on a more base modality right now. Like he sees the food, he grabs it, he eats it, even though he's in the middle of fighting. You see he's bleeding from several parts of its body.
All right, then I guess what Warry would do is he would pull out his short bow and an arrow, and if he could stick an arrow into the side of the pony to see if he can get it to just run around and distract the troll as he takes a shot at its face with the bow.
Yeah, you don't even have to stick the pony. You just slap the pony's haunch, and these ponies are so terrified that when you do that, it doesn't know the difference between like where the troll is, and so once you hit it, the fear just makes it just bolts. It just bolts off, and you see the troll kind of turn to kind of grab at it with its other hand, with the hand that's not holding Dwan, and you can make your shot. I'll give you advantage on the shot actually because it's kind of wide open.
Thank you. I will take it, a 2 and a 17, so I will take the 17.
17 will hit.
Sneak attack on this one, or?
Nope, you don't have it. Oh, you know something? You get sneak attack if you have advantage, so yeah.
Okay. So total of 8.
Perfect. So describe for us what happens as you fell this troll with this crossbow shot.
Oh, I'm assuming that it's just pure instinct now for this part, as Warry just smacks this pony to get it to turn around, and he's just staring at this troll's face, waiting for it to like open its mouth or something to that effect, and shoots the arrow right into the side of its cheek, and through its throat out the other side, just hoping to God it does some damage. And then as it
Yeah.
as it falls, he's kind of shocked.
It kind of goes, and it just goes.
And I think Warry would be very surprised at the fact that he killed it, but elated nonetheless.
Yeah.
And then would rush over.
Yeah, it's at that point, Badu, that you're coming back down this, the fear has left you. You can hear your friends still fighting and dying in this cave. And you see the troll. It's just, one of its legs is just kind of twitching. And you said, Warry, you were going to do what?
I was running right to Krim, I guess, who was the one that was knocked unconscious in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, you run over to Krim. He's not actually unconscious. You kind of you see him. He's kind of laying on his side, facing you as you run up. You see blood is just it's kind of like coming out of his nose, out of his ears, the corner of his mouth. You can see where his skull has been scalp has been split open, and that's bleeding. He manages a weak smile as you run up to him. So, we beat it, eh?
Oh, Jesus. Yes, we beat it. And I just go immediately to like dressing his wounds, because to me it looked like he died.
Yeah. He's like, weakly, he's like, and the one? Where's the one?
He's right behind you. Don't just be quiet. Your beard's not gonna.
He smiles at you again. He goes, Warry, don't worry. It doesn't even hurt.
Yeah, that's the bad part. Just shut up.
Yeah, and you're wrapping his scalp, and he's looking at you, and he's smiling. And then that's when you realize he's not breathing anymore. He's just got this smile on his face, his eyes dead, but looking at you.
Oh, Krim.
You hear
probably methodically keep bandaging it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Badu, you kind of more hear this than see this, because he's kind of tucked off in a darker side of this cavern. But the two ponies come running up past you as you stand in the mouth of this cavern.
And he would try and like grab at them, see if he's able to.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy task for you. You're a big enough man that you could just put your arms out. You could easily grab the bridles of these ponies.
And he's gonna kind of hold them together at the mouth and see if he can like get them tied up to a rock or something, just that'll just keep them there while he can go back in and check on the situation.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you could take some time now. You would strike tinder to not really a torch. You probably could make a torch though. You'd find a bit of refuse near the opening.
Yeah,
wrap some
probably while he's like tying up the horses, he finds a large enough dead stick, and he is going to take he's going to rip off a bit of his undershirt and kind of
it's not a bright light, but it's enough that allows you to at least see better. As you raise this brand up above your head, that's when you can truly see the horror of this cavern, and not just what it was like before your arrival, but you see this large troll. You see in one of its dead hands the remainder of what was Dewan. You see Warry kind of kneel down next to the body of Krim, and I will let you guys take it from here.
So Badu's gonna walk over to the mouth of the troll, and he's kind of looking it over. He puts the light near its eye, and he might see it like convulse a little bit. And at that, he's gonna bring his axe down just like into the side of its face. And when it doesn't move, after that, he kind of reassures himself that it's actually dead. And he's going to make his way over to Warry as he sees that he's still alive. Stepping over not Badu, stepping over Dwan as he goes, and just as he looks down, just barely seeing the horrible sight from the edge of the glow from this makeshift torch, and he just, oh, and he heads over to Warry and he kneels down next to him as he's still wrapping up Krim.
Yeah, Warry is just in that state of shock and like just methodical, needing something to do to keep his mind off of what just happened. So he knows that Krim is gone. He's 90% sure Dwan is gone. He doesn't even want to look. So he's just wrapping himself up, wrapping Krim up and laying him down on the ground and mumbling to himself that that he should have been doing this alone and not taking anybody else with him.
And as he's doing that, Badu kind of sets his axe down and he puts a hand on his shoulder and he says, "Oh yeah, I'll bring him outside." And he kind of like almost pushes you a little bit towards the exit. Go on.
No, it's no. I need they need to be buried.
Aye. Maybe not here though.
Why not here? Trying to slay a troll. Freaking troll.
There is enough death here.
Muted myself. I think Warry would just actually continue to kind of ignore Badu and tend to Krim.
And Badu just kind of looks around like he's looking for somebody to help him, but realizes that there's nobody else. And he just kind of, looking around, seeing now he's kind of examining the cave, and he sees just the awfulness. He sees both spots where he fell down and face planted into the dirt. And he says, "Fucking troll." And he's just going to kind of let Warry do his thing now.
Yeah, Warry would continue on with Krim until he's properly prepared for a burial or transport of something before he even headed over to Dwan. And they would do the same for him.
Yeah, it's a somber task. You're set about. Badu does his best to comfort you. What little good that does, having lost two of your very close friends. But he does help you. Maybe even you wanting to do it yourself. I can imagine Warry saying, "No, I'll do it myself," and he's just like doesn't care, and he just scoops up like Krim. And just starts gently. This large man just starts gently carrying him up out of this cavern. And you find a place. What would a place look? What would you be looking for? Describe for us where you would set to rest these two close friends of yours, Warry. I'll let you describe that to us.
He would look for just a little bit outside the cave, maybe. The place stinks and reeks in this place, but dwarves of the mountain love, caves and mountains and hills of all sizes, and this is as close as we're going to get, and unless we head all the way back up the high pass, which he's not willing to do. So he would find a nice area outside the cave near some stone and some rocks, so that he can bury or create a little, I don't even know what you want to call that, a like tomb for him.
And Badu would help with digging his big meaty hands are a lot, more able to pick up the dirt and kind of help make it not such a shallow grave if you can.
Yeah, and as you're preparing the graves and you place the bodies in there, Warry, you notice out of one of the pockets of Krim's jacket that's over his chain shirt, you see his pipe falls out. And miraculously, it's unbroken. This clay pipe that he's had for as long as you can remember. And it falls out in the dirt next to where he's laying.
Warry would kind of smile, had it fall out, but just a quick smile, half a second. Pick it up and clean it off, and put it in one of his shirt pockets. He has like a belt on him that has a whole bunch of little tools and knick-knack pockets on it, and he would put it in there, thinking to himself that he'll use this shortly.
So you finish the grim task of burying your friends. Not sure. Do you think dwarfs would say much over their dead, or would they keep it fairly simple?
I think as they're burying the dead, they would keep it simple, and then later on would probably write a tale or a song for each of those that died regarding the events.
Awesome. So you finish. You have retrieved your ponies. Unfortunately, losing two of your friends. It's a bitter thing. And you may start making your way back to where you left your other ponies, to your campsite. You get there, and as you walk up to the campsite, you see a figure standing there, standing close to your ponies. A hand lightly stroking one of the ponies' muzzles. And as you approach, they turn to look at you.
I would call out to them, almost in anger, probably, that they're messing with our shit after just went on. Hey, what? Leave those ponies, are not yours. Leave them alone.
You immediately recognize this creature for what it is. It's an elf, tall, thin, pointed ears, jutting out from hair that's pulled back. You see a bow in his hand. And he smiles at you and he says, in that lilting, almost musical voice of the elves, he says, "I was wondering whose ponies these were. I was about to give up and take them along. You look like you are hurt. Trouble on the road."
Trouble on your roads.
He looks around at when you say that and he says, "These are not our roads.
Isn't
These are not
Elfland?
safe." Excuse me, I did not hear you. What?
Isn't this Elfland?
We sometimes walk these woods, but not much. They're infested with troll. I would guess that maybe this is the problem you had. I see your tall friend. He is injured as well.
I would look over to Badu, who's probably limping and struggling pretty.
He's kind of clambering along. His head hurts again. He's still bleeding from his forehead a little bit, kind of streaming down his face. And he just kind of looks down at Warry and back at the elf and just kind of grunts and nods his head. I got this.
He pats the pony one last time, and he takes a couple of steps closer to you, the two of you, and his movement is graceful. It's almost like it's fluid, and he says, "Do you need aid? Are there others in your party, in your fellowship?" And he looks past you, Badu, looking for others, but sees
Badu
only
kind
the
of looks
ponies.
down at Badu kind of looks down at Warry and waits for his response.
Warry would just shake his head and say no. And he's not. I'm sure that the elf probably gets the sarcastic answer.
Mm.
And Badu looks back at the elf. He says, "Nope, that's it."
Well, these are not safe lands. If you would like, I can guide you, get you through here safely.
Yeah, we got lost last time. That'd be awesome. He's like holding his head still, just like I'm not ready for another missed adventure.
Yeah. He kind of you would actually probably, it's only for ever briefly, but his eyebrow kind of quirks a bit at the word awesome, and he kind of almost mouths it. Probably, but he probably would dismiss it as that must be a foreigner word. Well then, better be on our way. And he looks up and he says, "It'll be dark soon, and there'll be more trolls about."
I think Warry would begrudgingly follow the elf, mainly still thinking about Duan and Krim, almost even ignoring the fact that the stories that dwarves have about elves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he would say, as you guys set on the path, he would turn to you both and he'd say, "I am Patreon, and I hail from Rivendell."
And Badu would look at him and say, "That's a real pretty name you got there. Name's Badu."
I'm Warry.
I wish it was under better circumstance that I met you both, but it's also fateful that I was to find you. But you might meet the fate of your friends, unfortunately. Come, we must go quickly. And he would start leading you through the woods and setting you back on the path, get you safely through the troll shaws and westward toward the Blue Mountains. And this is where we'll end this prologue.
Oh man.
Well played, guys. Really good job.
Oh boy.
Really well played. So anyone that was watching, thank you for watching. These guys did really good. I set them up with a really tough encounter. A troll is not something that is just easily fought, especially at level 1. But you guys did phenomenal. And kudos to you, Kyle, for going in there pretty much blind at disadvantage. Could you handicap yourself anymore?
Honestly, no.
I don't think so. But anyways,
Like the whole time I'm thinking, I'm like, no, just light a torch. But then I'm like, but the dwarves can see fine. So it's like, oh, man.
Anyways, that was so great. I love the way that you just played it that way, and you didn't rage or anything, and that was a deadly encounter. That was something that when it hits you, the chance of it killing you is pretty high.
Yeah, that thing almost took me down in that one hit.
But anyways, it was great session. Looking forward to session 1 when we bring all the players together. If you watched and you haven't watched the other 2 prologue, this is part 3 of a 3-part where I take each of the two players and we kind of run them through this little adventure that kind of brings them together and gets them to that point where we're going to pick up in session 1. So I hope you liked it, and stay tuned. We will be running that first session sometime in the next few weeks. And with that, we are going to end the broadcast.